if you have ever wanted to try textured art but just haven't been sure how to get started, this video is for you. I'll show you what textured art is, why it is the perfect way for a beginner to get creative, the basic materials, and how you can get started without overcomplicating it. The main focus in textured art is on the actual physical surface of the painting. And the best part for beginners, you don't need to know how to draw or paint. Compared to, for example, traditional painting, it is also much more forgiving. When you make a mistake, you can just flatten out the paste and go again. You might think that you will need a lot of expensive supplies to get started. Wrong. These are the only must-haves. The main material for textured art is texture paste, or what is sometimes called molding paste. And since it's the main material, it's the one thing where the quality really matters. I have linked a few alternatives for you in the description, including the one I use in all of my own work. Then you need a base to create on. Good texture pastes can be applied on almost any surface, but for beginners I'd recommend getting a simple stretched cotton canvas. You can find these for a few euros at arts and crafts stores. Then you need some simple tools to create the patterns with. Common ones are, for example, palette knives and different combs. But you could use all sorts of things like sponges, spatulas, piping bags, and even your hands. And then if you want to color the artwork, as most probably want, then also get some regular acrylic paints and some paint brushes. With these few simple things, you can get started working on your first paintings, and then you can add more supplies later. The texture art process is fairly simple and almost always follows the same steps. First, you prepare the surface for creating, but when you're using pre-primed canvas, you don't need to do much prep. You might, for example, just color the background. And then you mix the texture paste thoroughly in the jar. Just apply the paste and create the pattern. And then the boring part, which is waiting for the texture paste to dry. The drying time depends on the thickness of the paste and the temperature, and you know it's ready when the textures are hard like this. And good quality texture pastes like the one I use, they dry really hard. So if you choose the right paste, there's no need to worry about cracking. And once the textures are fully dry, you could continue working on them. We could, for example, paint over it or just leave it natural. We could also, for example, sand it or apply another layer of texture on top. And once you're fully finished with creating the layers and the artwork has dried, you would usually varnish the painting. But if this is one of your first paintings, just skip the varnishing for now and focus on creating the first artwork. And don't worry about messing it up, you can always flatten out the paste and go again. And if you now feel like giving textured art a try, I've listed the basic materials you need to get started in the description below.